Okay, okay. Thank you. ॐ दक्षिणास्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्णपाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञानगुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ नमो भगवते वैवस्वताय मृत्यवे ब्रह्मविद्याचार्याय नचिकेतसे च. So we are now in the third valley of the first chapter, where, as I have been telling you in the last two sessions, here Yamadharmaraja is talking about what a jiva is. What are the two alternate paths that a jiva can choose for his emancipation? Emancipation means a person who would like to grow materially would choose the path of prayers, but a person, a jiva, who wants to go spiritually and attain moksha is the one who would probably take up to the path of shreyas. And then on this path of Shreyas, the Upanishad assumes that this mumukshu, we, the mumukshus, have chosen the path of mumukshu, mumukshutvam, moksha, path of moksha, and then we are traveling, on that particular Shreyo Marga. And if one has to travel on the Shreyo Marga, what are the sadhanas that are necessary? That was talked about in all these verses up till the ninth verse. From the third verse to the ninth verse, the sadhanas were talked about. How are the sadhanas for the Shreyo Marga talked about? With a very interesting imagery. With an imagery of Ratha Kalpana, where the Jiva was considered to be the Ratha Swami or the Rathi, and then the entire body of this rathi was considered to be the chariot. Ratha means a chariot kalpana. The shariram was considered or given the imagery of a chariot, and then the horses were compared to the sense organs, the reins were compared to the mind, and the charioteer or the sarathi who's sitting there holding the reins of these horses, in other words having a control over the mind and sense organs, was given the imagery of the buddhi. Therefore, all these, the body, mind, sense organs, and the intellect, buddhi, were very important parts of this particular, ratha or this vehicle with which this mumukshu has to travel on the path of Shreyo Marga. And then what is the ultimate goal? Moksha is considered to be the ultimate goal of this jiva. And then once the journey began, after having made the vehicle fit, what is the way to make the vehicle fit? He gave the sadhanas. Shama, Dama, Deha Arogya, and Viveka were given as the four sadhanas. We can say that Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti also can be included in this values that a person has to have to mature his mind. All these are the sadhanas necessary before the jiva embarks on this journey. And the fitness of the vehicle was talked about in the form of Deha Bala or Deha Arogya, that is the soundness of the body or the soundness of the body of the Ratha itself. Then the horses have to be trained, that is, the Indriyas have to be properly under one's management, under one's control. Control here does not mean separation. It means that the sense organs have to be actually not the masters of this rathi, but the rathi has to be the master of the sense organs. And also the mind also has to be mastered with shama, and the buddhi is the one which has the most important role to play here, because it is the buddhi which decides, which has the viveka, which has the discrimination, and which decides as to which way and how to go about. And the paths, the road was described as the world of sense objects. So when you have a lot of sense objects on the way, how the sense organs and the mind have to be literally brought under the control of the Sarathi, and how the Sarathi veers this vehicle towards moksha on the Shreyo Marga was talked about. And what happens when the vehicle is not in a good condition? When either of the parts, either the indriyas or the mind or the buddhi or the body itself is not in a fit condition, what can happen to the journey of this mumukshu? That was also talked about. Then, in the last session, we saw that here the Upanishad Guru Yamadharmaraja comes to the actual journey. And what was the actual journey? That is what we saw in the 10th verse, and in the 11th verse, we saw what the actual journey is. The actual journey of this mumukshu, of course, it may sound very, very subtle and difficult to understand, but just understand one thing, that a preyo margi, or a person who is a materialist, goes outwards towards the world of objects to attain his goal of material success. Whereas a Shreyo Margi, or a person who has moksha as his goal, has to take up a journey, withdraw from the world outside, and take up a journey which is an internal journey. And what is that internal journey? That was talked about in the 10th and the 11th verse, where the Upanishad uses Panchakosha Viveka. Panchakosha Viveka we have already seen in Viveka Chudamani. What is this Panchakosha Viveka? I start with a gross body. I am not the body. Then who am I? I am that. Probably I go one step backwards to the subtler body. Am I the subtle body? Am I the sense organs? Am I the mind? Am I the buddhi? No, I am not. So I start with the grossest physical body, and then understand that this physical body or Annamaya Kosha is only a mithya part of my body mind sense complex. I go one step interior, one step subtler, and go to the Indriyas. There I understand that the Indriyas also temporarily I consider as myself, but I am not the Indriyas also. Then am I the mind? I jump from the Indriyas to the subtler part. Subtler than the Indriyas is the mind. Paraha. Indriyebhyah parahi artha, arthebhyah param manaha. Manastastu para buddhihi. That's what we saw that. So gradually, starting from the gross physical body, one goes, jumps, or one transcends the gross body, goes to the next level of the subtle body called as the Indriyas. Then he transcends the Indriyas also and thinks of himself as the mind. Transcends the mind also, comes to the subtler part of his Sukshma Sharira and considers himself temporarily as the Buddhi. Then he sees that this individual Buddhi, the Jiva's Buddhi, individual Buddhi, is nothing but a manifestation of the total Buddhi, Mahat, Samashti Buddhi, or Samashti Sukshma Sharira. Therefore, his intellect is expanded enough. Initially, what is there? There is a concentration on the gross body first, then the point of concentration or focus comes to the Indriyas, then the focus comes to the Manaha, then the focus comes to the Buddhi, and once I come to the Buddhi, I have to start expanding my intellect, expanding my mind to see that I am not different from the Samashti Buddhi. I, this Buddhi, am not different from the Samashti Buddhi. This individual Vyashti Buddhi is a mere manifestation of the total or Samashti Buddhi. Then the Upanishad says, even subtler than the Samashti Buddhi or Hiranyagarbha is what is called as the Avyaktam. If you take it from the Vyashti point of view, it becomes the Karana Sharira. Avyaktam in the Samashti, which is called as Karana Prapancha, is equivalent to the Karana Sharira. That is what the Taittiriya Upanishad starts. It starts with Annamaya Kosha, transcend the Annamaya and come to the Pranamaya, transcend the Pranamaya and come to the Manomaya, transcend the Manomaya and then let your focus of understanding be Vijnanamaya, from Vijnanamaya to Anandamaya. And simultaneously, we understand that here we have to understand that as individuals, we are not separate from the total. The individual Sthula Sharira is not separate from the total Sthula Sharira or the Sthula Prapancha. The individual Sukshma Sharira, including the sense organs, the mind, and the intellect, the three levels at the Sukshma Sharira, including the prana, are not separate from the Samashti Sukshma Sharira Hiranyagarbha. Then Samashti Karana Sharira, that is, sorry, Vyashti Karana Sharira is not separate from the Samashti Avyaktam. So in this Upanishad, the same Panchakosha viveka of Taittiriya Upanishad is dealt in a little different way. Starting from the sense organs, and then going one step subtler and coming to the buddhi or the intellect. Once you come to the buddhi and you focus your attention on the buddhi as myself, see myself as not separate from the total buddhi, Hiranyagarbha. And then subtler than that also is this avyaktam or maya. And the final, where I have to transcend all the matter, the subtle matter and the subtlest matter called as the avyakta, and jump and transcend all these and abide into what? Abide into this Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, this consciousness. This consciousness is the one that is what is called as the Vishnoho Paramam Padam, and also Sa Kashta Sa Paragatihi. It was said in the 11th verse, Mahataha Param Avyaktam. Mahataha, from the Samashti Sukshma Sharira, there is a still subtler, layer where which I have to transcend, called as Avyaktam, or from the point of view of the Vyashti Sharira, it is called as the Karana Sharira. Avyaktat Purusha Paraha. Avyaktat Paraha. Avyaktat means from the Karana Sharira or from the Karana Prapancha. Still subtler is that real nature of mind, which is nothing but Purushaha. Purushaha means what? Pure Shete iti Purushaha. Purayati Sarvam iti Purushaha. That which transcends everything, that which is the adhishtanam of everything, that which completes everything is called as Purushaha. And what is this Purushaha? This consciousness, this Chaitanyam, this Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, which is behind this body mind sense complex as the Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, and behind every other body mind sense complex as the Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, and behind the entire Jagat as the existence and consciousness, which we call as Brahman. Therefore, that consciousness, Purusha, which we ultimately come to, from there is no further travel. I have come to the end of my journey. See the difference between Preyo Marga and Shreyo Marga. In Preyo Marga, the more and more you travel, the more and more you get into samsara. The more and more material success you can achieve, material benefits you can achieve out of Shreyo Marga. And it keeps me coming back again and again and again. But Shreyo Marga is one when I have transcended the Sthula Sharira and Sthula Prapancha. When I have transcended in my understanding, transcended means what? In my understanding, this is Jnana Marga. Therefore, I have to understand that I am not the Sthula Sharira. I am not the Sukshma Sharira. I am not the Karana Sharira, but I am that Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, which is the adhishtanam of this entire universe. This particular understanding was called as Vishnoho Paramam Padam in the previous verses. The same thing he says in the 11th verse here. He says, Purushatna Param Kinchit. Purushat na Kinchit Param. After this, Purushat, from Purushat, there is no other subtle thing. That is the ultimate. Sa Kashta, that is the ultimate. Sa Paramagatihi, that is the final destination. And what is that destination? That Purusha, which is the final destination, is nothing but my Swarupam. I, this consciousness, is that Purusha. I, this consciousness, is that Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, which is behind every living being, behind every non living being, in the form of existence and consciousness. Sat Rupena, Chit Rupena, Ananda Rupena, Purushaha Vartate. Where? Everywhere. Everywhere it is available. Therefore, this understanding, this abiding in the ultimate Sukshmataram Atma as I myself, this very understanding is called as moksha. This moksha here in the Kathopanishad is called as Sakashta. That is the ultimate. There is nothing beyond that. Sakashta. That is the subtlest one can go to, because that is me. I cannot go beyond myself. I can't transcend my own Swarupam. This Purushaha, this consciousness is my Swarupam. It is my real nature. It is my Swarupam. And that is the ultimate. There is nowhere else to go from there. Sa Paramagatihi. Sa Paramagatihi means that is Paramagatihi. That is the Utkrishta Gatihi. Utkrishta Gati means the highest any jiva can reach. The highest understanding that any reach means what? Understanding. The highest understanding by Jnana Yoga, by the Upanishads, by our scriptures, Vedanta, what I can understand, where I can see myself, what I can understand myself to be, that highest thing, that which is the highest, that is called as the Sakashta, Sa Paragatihi. So he said, this Purusha is I, my nature. Every one of us ultimately are not the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya koshas. None of us are Sthula Sukshma Shariras. None of us are the Jagrit Jivas or Swapna Jivas or the Sushupta Jivas. Then who are we? Shariratraya Vyatirikta, Panchakosha Vilakshana, Avasthatraya Sakshi, Purushaha Atma Aham Asmi. This understanding is moksha. This understanding is called as Vishnoho Paramam Padam. This understanding is called as Sakashta Sa Paragatihi. So once I understand this, that means I have completed the journey. The journey has been completed. And once I have completed the journey, then who am I? I am a Sthita Prajna. I am a Mukta Purusha. Understanding that this body mind sense complex is a mere experiential reality. It is a mere incidental association with me, but I am neither the body mind sense complex nor the jagat with which the body mind sense complex is transacting. I am nothing but this Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, in whose presence this incidental body mind sense complex and this incidental jagat of names and forms outside are transacting with each other, and the whole transaction, the kartrutvam and bhoktritvam of the jiva is going on. And this body mind sense complex associated reflected consciousness, Abhasa Chaitanyam, is the jiva which travels. And this jiva has to ultimately come to this final destination. This is the final journey and the destination and understanding of the jiva. This is called as Sakashta Saparagatihi. This we saw in the last session. Now, what is, how is that? Is it easy really to understand this? Of course, as I'm telling you, you may find what is this that is being talked about, but it has to be heard again and again. I have to prepare my mind and intellect for it. This buddhi of ours is so gross. We have only one intellect which Ishvara has given us. To conduct the transactions outside also it is the same buddhi. To understand this subtle knowledge also it is the same buddhi that is given by Ishvara. And unless this buddhi is prepared by karma yogena chitta shuddhihi, upasana yogena chitta naishchalyam, okay, Daivi Sampatti Dwara, the maturity of the intellect and the mind, and then one has to go for this knowledge. Our Nachiketa had enough of viveka, enough of vairagya, enough of shamadhi shatka sampatti, and tivra mumukshatvam. These are what are necessary. A sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikari with a prepared mind and intellect with karma yoga and upasana yoga is an adhikari who can understand whatever has been taught by the Vedanta in this way, in the form of Panchakosha Viveka, which we saw in Viveka Chudamani. Also, the Guru of Viveka Chudamani gives this Panchakosha Viveka. Now, what is this Atma? And how is it to be understood by this Vedantic teaching? How is it to be understood? What kind of a buddhi is required for it? That is what is going to be talked about in the 12th verse. So he says, this Atma cannot be caught that I am this Purusha. What is this Purusha? I am this Purusha or Atma, which is the subtlest of the subtle, which is my very adhishtanam. I am the Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, non separate from the adhishtanam of the entire Jagat Brahman. Atma Brahma, Brahmatma Aham Asmiti. To understand this, what kind of an intellect do I need? What kind of a preparation do I need? That sukshmata of this knowledge is being talked about, and the sukshmata of the buddhi one should have. How does this sukshmata come? By repeated listening, years and years of Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. That is why it is called as Jnana Yoga. Otherwise, why will we call this whole circus, or circus I should not say, in that I know this whole effort of understanding I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the sense complex, I'm ultimately this Atma. I think all this effort that is necessary. Why is it necessary? Ultimately, this knowledge is what liberates me. Ultimately, this is the liberating knowledge. This makes me understand that I'm not the reflected consciousness Jiva, I'm not the traveling Jiva, but I'm that all pervading, non traveling Sakshi Chaitanya Atma iti. I understand it very, very clearly. This is the purpose of my understanding this. This is the purpose of my journey. If I am not interested in the journey, no problem. If I don't want to take up the journey, it's no problem. But when I take up the journey, I have to be prepared for a difficult journey ahead, because this is a very, very subtle topic, this Panchakosha Viveka, Avasthatraya Viveka, Shariratraya Viveka, Karanakarya Viveka, Drishya Viveka. These are all the prakriyas through which Vedanta teaches us about how to understand myself to be that Atma. And therefore, here in the next verse, he says that what kind of a buddhi is necessary to understand this knowledge. So he says here, येष सर्वेषु भूतेषु गूढोत्मान प्रकाशते दृश्यते तु अग्र्यया बुद्ध्या सूक्ष्मया सूक्ष्मदर्शिभिः. So he says, Yesha Purushaha or Yesha Atma Sarveshu Bhuteshu Gudhaha. This Atma we are talking about is the all pervading consciousness which is there inside every jiva, outside every jiva, in and through every jiva, in and through every object in the universe. But however, na prakashate, it is not something which I can objectify as an object. I have to understand it because it reveals itself. It reveals itself. I have to understand the self revealing Atma by what it reveals. I can't find it as an object. Atma is not something that I can go after, search for the Atma as to where it is. I have to go here, go there, do this, do that, search. No, that is not the thing. Atma is not the gross physical body. Atma is not matter principle. It is not available for me for search outside anywhere. It is that very consciousness which is within me, that very consciousness which is manifesting within me. Every minute there is a spuranam in me, ahamasmi, ahamasmi, I am, I am. Iti, this consciousness is constantly pulsating in me. And to understand that Atma, to realize that Atma, I have to take up the journey inwards. The outward journey is not going to get me the Atma. So he says, Yesha Atma, Yesha Purusha, this Purusha whom we talked about after going through this Jnana Yoga of Panchakosha Viveka, Sarveshu Bhuteshu Gudhaha. It is as though hidden in all the jivas. Actually, it is not hidden. This Atma is not hidden. Whatever is there is Atma. Whatever is there is nothing but this Atma. Whatever is there is nothing but this Brahman. That is the only thing that is there. Atma or Brahman, this consciousness is the only thing that is there. Everything else is Namarupa. Still then, since it is the very subject consciousness, it is not an object. It is not possible for us to very easily objectify this Atma, this consciousness. Therefore, what does he say? Yesha sarveshu bhuteshu gudhaha. Yesha Atma, this Atma sarveshu bhuteshu gudhaha. It is as though hiding in every jiva's heart. Really, it is not hiding. It is constantly revealing itself. It is constantly pulsating in me. Ahamasmi, ahamasmi. I am, I am. Somebody asks me, are you there? Yes, I am. What is it that is telling me I am, I am? I'm aware of I-ness and minus. What is it that is showing me this aham, I-ness and minus? It is nothing but this self-revealing Atma. And therefore, what is said here is, Yesha sarveshu bhuteshu gudaha Atma na prakashate. Na prakashate doesn't mean that it does not shine. It shines by itself. It reveals itself as ahamasmi in everybody. But this cannot be searched for like any other object. So it is not easy to catch hold of Atma. It is agrahyam. It's going to come in the next few verses. Atma Swarupa is going to be talked about. Adresham, agrahyam. That was talked about in the other, in the other Upanishads also it is talked about. Okay, that which cannot be an object of senses, that cannot be an object of the mind. What is it? That is pure subject consciousness. That is what is going to be the meaning of Gudhaha Atma. Yesha Sarveshu, Yesha Atma, Sarva Bhuteshu Gudaha Na Prakashate. It is not available as an object of one's perception. You cannot find Atma sitting somewhere or standing somewhere as an object. That is not possible. But how is it to be understood? Drishyate tu agriyaya buddhya. It is available to a very sharp intellect. Agriyaya buddhya. Agriyaya buddhya. Sharp intellect. It is sharp intellect. Such a sharp intellect, agriyaya, like the tip of a grass. The buddhi should be so sukshma. Why? Because the buddhi has to know about the subtlest of the things in the world. Atma, me, is the subtlest of whatever I have to know. There is nothing subtler than that. Sakashta, Saparagatihi. We saw that in the 11th verse. So that is the subtlest. And if I have to know something subtle, very, very subtle, subtlest thing, if I have to know, my buddhi also has to be very sharp and very focused. How can I make my buddhi sharp and focused? Karma yogena chitta shuddhi, upasana yogena chitta naishalyam, and by cultivating Daivi Sampati, maturity of the intellect. These three are very essential to make my mind, make my buddhi Agriyaya buddhya, agriya buddhi, a sharp intellect is necessary. And sukshmaya, sukshmadarshibhihi. And the buddhi should be sukshma enough, it should be subtle enough, because it is the same buddhi which we have used for lives and lives and lives to conduct our gross vyavaharas outside. We don't have a second set of buddhi for atmajnanam. It is the same intellect, it is the same mind which we are always using outside during our transactions. It is the same mind, it is the same buddhi which we have to use. And therefore he says, what should be the buddhi of the knower? Agriya buddhi, sukshma buddhi. It should be a drishyate tu, means it is understood, it is seen. Seen means what? Understood. See, sometimes when you say something, what do I say? I see. I see means what? I understand. So here in the second line he says, Drishyate tu agriyaya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshibihi. Agriyaya buddhya, by a very, very focused and a sharp intellect, and also a sukshma buddhya, that is by a very subtle intellect, this atma can be very well known. Therefore, the preparation of the buddhi is very important in understanding Atma Swarupam. Though I am the Atma Swarupam, though I am nothing but the Atma, it is as though it is hidden from me. Do I know now? I take myself to be the body. I take myself to be the mind. I take myself to be the sense organs. I have an ahankara, an identification with respect to the body mind sense complex. Actually, I am that Atma. That is my real nature. In reality, I am that Atma. Body mind sense complex is incidental. But what have I done? I have made body mind sense complex as the reality. And this Atma I am not even aware of. If somebody is asked, who are you? I am that Atma, I am that consciousness which is not even known for many people. If you ask them, there, I am this body. I am this body. There is only identification, only body. Forget about even mind and sense complexes. Who are you? I am this body, a sentient body. From where has this sentience come? Where has this consciousness come to the body? They don't know. You try to tell them that you are not the body. There is something different called as a consciousness principle, because of which your body is sentient. You are the consciousness behind the body mind sense complex. And that is the real you. That is the real you. This body mind sense complex is not the real you. That is the mistake that you have committed because of avidya, because of maya. You think that which is not the reality as real, and that which is the real is totally missed. And what Jnana Yoga does, what do the Upanishads do? They tell me that what you take to be real now is false, and what you don't see is the reality, and what you don't see is your own nature, and it is all the time with you. You are that Swarupam, Atma Swarupam. It is the Upanishads tell us. So, to understand this, my entire mind and intellect have to be turned 180 degrees inwards. I cannot, afford to look outside. It is a journey which is entirely opposite to all the other pursuits that I have. Therefore, it is said that a sukshma buddhi is necessary, a subtle intellect, because I am trying to know about the subtlest thing, which is nothing but me, myself. It is me, myself. The subtlest of the subtle, the consciousness is nothing but me, myself. And this intellect has to know I am this subtle consciousness. I am not the body, mind, sense complex. For lives together, I have come with the opinion that I am this body, I am this body, I am this body. I have to get out of that conditioning that I am this body, and I have to slowly take up the journey from the body to the subtler layers of the body, subtler, like we took Panchakosha Viveka, and ultimately abide myself in that Atma Swarupa. Therefore, what kind of a buddhi one needs? A prepared buddhi one needs. That is why the takers for Vedanta are very few. Because one thing is it requires a lot of effort, second thing is it requires a lot of listening, it requires a lot of time, commitment, and then trying to withdraw oneself from the, whatever are the outside pursuits, and concentrate on the inner journey. It requires a very very sensitive and a very very sharp intellect. Otherwise I will always miss the atma. That which is missed is me myself. I constantly miss myself. What a paradox, no? What a paradox it is. What I really am, I am missing it all the time. What I'm not really, I'm taking it to be the reality and conducting all my transactions. Who I am, what I am, I'm constantly missing it. Even when somebody tells me, when the guru tells me, I'm missing it. So ultimately, what is said is that this is not available as an object. So one has to have a very, very tikshna buddhi. And how, what kind of a buddhi it needs for what? A nididhyasanam is necessary. After having the shravanam, after going through the shravanam of this Panchakosha viveka, in the next verse, the Upanishad talks about how this Nididhyasanam has to be done. So let us go to the 13th verse, where the Nididhyasanam process of going from the grossest physical body to the Atma and abiding in Atma Swarupa, step by step going, it is like, see, you have you have something on a higher level, and there are 5 steps, and I'm on the earth, I'm on the ground, which is the grossest. So I have to climb one step, I have to leave the ground and climb up the first step, then I have to leave the first step and go to the second step, then I have to leave the second step and go to the third step, similarly fourth step, similarly fifth step, and on the fifth step is where my destination is. That is what we are doing. We are taking this inward journey, starting from annamaya, pranamaya, manomaya, vijnanamaya, and anandamaya koshas. We are going step by step, rather than going up. We are going subtler and subtler, inwards, 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 till we reach that sakashta saparagatihi. So this journey itself requires getting used to, listening again and again, nididhyasanam, constantly contemplating over it, and you are doing sitting meditation or nididhyasanam as told in the 6th chapter, then what is it to be done? That is being told in the 13th verse. How do you do this nididhyasanam? Yached vang manasi prajnah tad yached jnana atmani jnanam atmani mahati niyached tad yached shanta atmani. Again, Nididhyasanam also in the same order. When you do the sitting Nididhyasanam as Dhyanam or meditation, how do you start? Now, Yachet Vang Manasi. Withdraw the sense organs into the mind. Let all the sense organs be withdrawn into their source. What is the source of all sense organs? Mind is the source of all sense organs. Let all the sense organs be withdrawn into their source mind. How long should I do it? It may take me years for the first step itself to withdraw my mind from the body, from the sense organs, and withdraw the sense organs. Withdraw means we can't pull them. It is by understanding. By understanding, I withdraw all the sense organs into the mind and abide myself in the mind. That itself may take me one lifetime. Here, time is not talked about. It is the process which is talked about. That is the process. Yachet Vang Manasi. Vang means Vak. Vak indicates what? The organ of speech. The organ of speech is the indicator of all other 9 sense organs. All the jnanendriyas, all the karmendriyas, may you withdraw into the mind. Then Prajnaha. Prajnaha means what? The person who is the meditator. Prajnaha yachet vang manasi. The meditator or the nididhyasaka sit the way Krishna has told in the 6th chapter how to sit. doing pranayama and clearly sitting in one place, whatever those preparatory antaranga and bahiranga sadhanani for preparing for meditation. This initially has to be done as a sitting meditation. Later on, it has to come in all transactions of my life. So he says, when you sit for meditation, the first thing, may your identification be withdrawn from the sense organs and may you abide in the mind. May all the sense organs be withdrawn into the mind. What is the meaning of that? May you not identify yourself with the sense organs anymore. May your focus of concentration or identification for the present be on the mind. So yachet vang manasi. May all the sense organs be left or be drawn into the mind. And who has to do it? The Nididhyasaka, Prajnaha. Yatad yachet jnanam atmani. That mind slowly, with the sense organs and the mind, may that whole unit be resolved back or absorbed into the jnana atmani. Jnana atmani means in the buddhi. May it be absorbed into the buddhi. May it be withdrawn into the buddhi. That means what? I'm changing the focus of identification from I am the indriyas to I am the mind. Then I'm slowly changing the focus of identification from I am the mind to I am the buddhi. Then jnana atmani mahati niyachet. Then once I have brought my focus of attention as I am the buddhi, then I see this vyashti buddhi not separate from the samashti buddhi. So jnanam atmani mahati niyachet means let the individual buddhi be resolved into the total buddhi. Let me see myself not as the individual buddhi anymore. I am no longer the individual buddhi. Who am I? I am the samashti buddhi hiranyagarbha. Then tat yachet shanta atmani. And from there, I see myself as that purusha or atma. That means what? I slowly shift the focus of my attention from the grossest of my identification from the body. Gradually, I go one level, subtler, 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 and ultimately, I see myself identical with that Sakshi Chaitanya Atma. This is what is called as the Nididhyasana. Here, Anididhyasaka is called as a prajna. Prajna, you may not, please don't confuse with Vishwataijasa prajna. That is not there. Here, prajna means the Nididhyasaka. May the Nididhyasaka slowly transfer his focus of attention and identification from the grossest physical body to the subtler indriyas, from the subtler indriyas to the mind, from the mind to the buddhi. And once he comes to the Vyashti buddhi, let the Nididhyasaka see this individual buddhi as not different from Samashti buddhi Hiranyagarbha. And from there, I lose or try to release my identification, loosen my identification from buddhi also, and then abide in Shanta Atmani. Shanta Atmani means what? That ever peaceful Atma. That is what Abhayam Param Vindate he says in the coming certain verses in the future also. That is, that Abhayam Param. This particular Atma, identifying myself, seeing myself as that Atma, abiding myself in this Atma Swarupa is fearlessness, immortality. What are our fears due to? Our fears are mostly due to the fear of mortality. But Atma, which does not najayate mriyate va kadachit. Therefore, when I am abiding in my Atma Swarupa, I am identical with the Atma. I am not identifying anymore with the body, mind, sense complex. So, this is what is called as the Sakashta Saparagatihi. And this is the birthright of every human jiva. The very reason a human jiva is born as a human is for this particular thing. This knowledge, this abidance in Atmaswarupa moksha or freedom from samsara, understanding my real nature as Atma Swarupa is the ultimate purpose of human life. That is why in Viveka Chudamani we called Yetatrayam Durlabham Manushatvam, Mumukshutvam and Mahapurusha Samshrayam. And what is the ultimate goal? To really get over this coming back again and again and again into this samsara, completely negating the jivatvam and abiding in Atmaswarupa. And then this is what is called as moksha. This understanding is what is called as Vishnoho Paramam Padam. This is that skashta paragatihi, the ultimate, the highest knowledge, which frees me forever from samsara, from becoming. Samsara is what? Becoming. Coming from one place to the other, going from one loka to the other. That also it's going to talk about. Upanishad is going to talk about the journey of jiva, where it keeps going from one place to the other. That also is going to be talked about in the future chapters. It's going to. So for this, what should I do? So the Upanishad Guru is waking up all of us. Hey, human jivas, you are under the spell of the Maya's Nidra. You are spellbound and you are asleep in the Nidra of Maya, Nidra of Avidya. So, hey, jivas, get out, get up, identify that you are completely ignorant. Understand that you have to get out of your ignorance. If you don't do it now, you have lost a chance. In my next life, what I'm going to be, I don't know. What kind of a body this is going to be, whether the body will be healthy, whether the ratha will be healthy, I don't know. Now, when I have got a healthy body, healthy mind, healthy sense complex, got a guru, got a situation, surroundings which are conducive to my learning, make use of this. Make use of this and see that you cross over this once and for all. At least start the journey. We cannot guarantee, even Upanishad does not guarantee us that you read one Upanishad and you are going to get moksha. No, that is not there. We all must be probably going through this journey for several lives. We may need several more lives to understand what this is. Doesn't matter. But this is a Kalyanatama journey which we have already started. The most auspicious journey has already been started. Moksha Purushartha Shreyo Marga journey, which has already been started, it is not going to go waste. All the other karmas will be put on hold, and we will get sufficient or opportunities in our next lives also to continue from where we have stopped. This is what Krishna has promised us in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Shrimatam Shuchinam Gehe, you will be born in a situation conducive enough to continue your journey. So we have to start somewhere. We cannot be impatient. It may take us lives and lives to understand this journey. It's not so ji yachet vang manasi tad jnana atmani yachet. It is the Upanishad is giving it in one verse. Withdraw your sense organs into mind, withdraw the mind into the intellect, and withdraw the intellect in individual intellect into the samashti intellect, and then finally you abide in atma. It is giving in one verse, but that one verse, for that kind of a nididhyasana, how much of effort has to be there, how much of commitment has to be there, how much of sukshma buddhi has to be there. This is very, very important. Therefore, at least wake up to the fact. That is what he's going to tell in the next verse, 14th verse, which is a very, very famous verse which Swami Vivekananda also used wherever he went in trying to actually, encourage the youth of the country to come out of, this kind of inertia of one being lost in the material world. He said, wake up. I'm sure you have heard this. All of us have heard this words earlier. Let us read this 14th verse. Uttishtata jagrata prapya varan nibodhata kshurasya dhara nishita duratyaya durgam pathastat kavayo vadanti. Uttishtata, get up. First you get up from your inertia. Get up. Realize, understand that you are in avidya. Understand that you are ignorant. And then jagrata. Wake up. Get up first. Get up, wake up and try to get out of this avidya which is keeping me bound as a jiva, this avidya which is making me, this jiva, travel in the prayo marga for lives and lives and lives together and come back again and again. Uttishtata, wake up from this somnolence, wake up from this ignorance. Jagrita, try to get free from this avidya. How to get free from this avidya? How to get free from this ignorance? Yes, I am ignorant. I want freedom. What is this freedom? What is this moksha? Understanding my real nature. How do I understand my real nature? By surrendering to the Shastra and by surrendering to the Guru. Prapya varan nibodhata. Varan prapya nibodhata. Varan means what? A guru, a competent acharya, an acharya or guru who has come through sampradaya, who has come through the guru shishya tradition, and the one who is capable of opening the words of the shastra in front of you. Such a guru prapya. May you approach a sampradaya with guru. Okay. Tad vijnanartham sa gurumeva abhigachet samitpani shrotriyam brahmanishtam. Shrotriya brahmanishtam gurum may you go to. To that guru may you go to. Guru Upasadanam it is called. You may be a scholar, I may be a Sanskrit scholar, but when it comes to studying Vedanta, let there be no independent study. Because the Upanishads are extremely cryptic. They have to be taught in a proper way. The words of the Upanishads have to be opened up very, very properly. In Kathopanishad itself, you are seeing how cryptic the verses are, how loaded the verses are. And unless the verses are clearly explained, it is not possible for the mumukshu to understand what is happening. Therefore, he says, Varan prapya nibodhata. May you know this. May you understand this knowledge, the Upanishadic knowledge. Whatever the Vedanta has to tell you, Upanishad has to tell you, that is the only recourse. Going to the Upanishads and getting this knowledge is the only recourse to moksha. And if you want to understand what the Upanishads are telling, don't do independent study. Go to a Shrotriya Brahmanishta Guru. That is what all the Upanishads say. That is all. That is what Bhagavad Gita also said in the fourth chapter. May you reach a Guru Shrotriyam Brotriya Brahmanishtam Guru Upasadanam Kritva. Okay, what will they do? They will give you this knowledge. If you are not prepared for this knowledge, they will prepare you for this knowledge. The guru will prepare with karma yoga, upasana yoga, seva, so many ways, just like our guru is preparing us for this knowledge with so many activities. In the mat we have, seva is there, so many things are there, pujas are there. Why are they there? For the chitta shuddhi and chitta naishchalyam of all the sadhakas, and then expose them to this upanishadic knowledge. So prapya varani bodhata kshurasya dhara nishita duratyaya. This whole path is like walking on a razor's edge. Kshurasya dhara. If you have to walk, not cross, if you have to walk along or on a razor's edge, how difficult it is to balance, how painful it is to walk. It is like that. This understanding, this study is like walking on a razor's edge. Nishita, sharp. Kshurasya dhara. The edge of a kshura means what? A razor. Edge. It is a razor's edge. Duratyaya, difficult. This knowledge, this understanding is as difficult as walking on a razor's edge. Durgam pathasthat kavayo vadanti. This Jnana Yoga Marga, this Shreyo Marga is Durgam. Durgam means what? It is difficult. It has lot of difficulties in crossing this. Durgam pathasthat. This patha or this particular path is not that easy. Durgam patastat kavayo vadanti. This is what all the Tattvajnanis say. The Tattvajnanis say this path or this particular understanding, this knowing the Upanishadic truths, this understanding of Vedanta, where one comes out of the avidya, is not very easy. It is like walking on a razor's edge, a sharp, nishita, sharp, duratyaya, difficult, kshurasya dhara, as if walking on the razor's edge. Durgam, it is difficult. Pataha tat, that pataha, that particular marga, jnana marga, is difficult. Kavayo vadanti. Kavayaha means all the tattvajnanis, all the jnanis who have walked over this path, they say that it is not a very easy path and you have to go to and surrender to a guru and also to the shastra. Surrendering to the shastra and surrendering to the guru is the most important thing. Therefore, all, hey people, hey Ajnanyo, Uttishtata, whom is the Upanishad addressing? All of us Ajnanis. Hey Ajnanis, all of you who are lost in this world, who are caught up in the Prayomarga, all of you, may you rise, Uttishtata. So this Upanishad, through this Upanishad, Yamadharma Raja is addressing all of us Ajnanis. Don't be any more in the slumber of Maya or Avidya. You have as such spent enough number of lives, enough creations have gone by and you are lost and you are under the deep slumber of avidya and maya and you do not know what you are. You think yourself to be a limited jiva. You are not. You are the limitless atma. You are not the limited body mind sense complex. You are not the limited jiva. You are that limitless nitya shuddha buddha mukta atma. You only need to know. There is nothing to be done. You need to know. And how do you need to know? You have to commit yourself to the study of Shastra with with a guru who has been a sampradaya with guru. And it is with the commitment to the guru and the Shastra, you can understand that you are not this limited body mind complex. You are not this limited jiva, but you are that limited atma. Yes, it is a difficult journey. Yes, you need a very agriya buddhi. Yes, you need a very sukshma buddhi. Yes, it is difficult like walking on razor's edge, but still it is possible. If there are tattvajnanis in this world, if there are people who are mukta purushas, sthita prajnas in this world, it is possible. There may be a rare sthita prajna, but doesn't matter. I can be one of them. Each one of us can be there, one of them. It only requires commitment on our part. It only requires time on our part. It only requires the study of Vedanta with a proper guru, with a proper attitude, and then preparing this buddhi with sufficient sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. If I can prepare my instrument, body, mind, sense complex, and go through this journey with the help of Shastra and Guru, then this path is not difficult at all. For whom is this path difficult? Durgam patastat kavayo vadanti. For whom is this path difficult? For unprepared intellects, this path is difficult. But this is easy for a prepared intellect. A person who is having chitta shuddhi, chitta naishalyam, chitta vishalata, maturity of the body, maturity of the mind and intellect, and the person who has taken the help of a sampradaya with guru and committed to shastra, for such a person, it is very, very easy. This path is not difficult at all. It is very easy provided you have these conditions which you fulfill. Nothing is easy in life. Even material pursuit is not that easy. You have to follow the Veda Purva. Following Veda Purva is not that easy. Therefore, nothing is easy in this life. Nothing comes easily. Similarly, this path of Atmajnanam or this Shreyo Marga may be difficult for whom? For an unprepared intellect. But for a prepared intellect, this path of Shreyas is not difficult at all. and ultimately understanding that I'm not this limited body, mind, sense complex. I'm not this limited jiva, but I'm the unlimited Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Atma is the ultimate purpose of all teaching of Vedanta. So we'll stop with this now. We have three more verses in this particular section in the first chapter, which we'll take up in the next session. Om Nandantu Sadhaka Sarve Vinashyantu Vidushakaha Avasthasham Bhavimestu Prasannostu Guru Sada Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkhamapnuyat Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.